and then it abruptly stops. Welcome to the Devolution Show. It's dark. It's dark. It's only 7 o'clock and it's dark. I don't like that. I wish it would just be light until 9 o'clock every night. That's how I feel about it. But it's almost winter now, and that's the way it goes, right? But it's always warm and cozy here at the Devolution, and we love our new place. And our guest this evening, it's her first visit here, and I'd like to introduce second. Oh, that's right. It was right after we moved. This is Linda Thomas, a good friend and a lovely person. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you.
Again. So that's really cool that you were already here. You're our first repeat guest in this new place.
Oh, I'm proud to be here.
Yes, it's
Yay.
nice, huh?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yes, we like it here. It's working out very well. That's really cool that it's your second time here. I love that because most everybody was just at the other place. You were there too once, weren't you?
I was at the other place, yeah.
Yes. Oh, very good. I love that. So I thought, why don't you tell people a little bit about you, and then we'll talk about what we're going to talk about.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you, what are we going to talk about? So I own and operate Trinity Holistic Health in Saginaw, Michigan. A name is about to change because I am proud to announce that I just moved to a new building where we are starting a wellness collective, which I believe the name is probably going to be Michigan Integrative Wellness Collective or My Wellness Collective. So what we're going to do there is going to be some shared office space, and we're going to try to incorporate as many natural modalities of healing as possible, all under one roof. Wow. Because what I found in my own journey looking for office space is that most of us who are in alternative healing only need a decent sized office and a bathroom and a waiting area, and that kind of real estate is really hard to come by. There's lots of medical space. It's very expensive. And so all these alternative amazing healers end up at the back of salons or behind somebody else's business, and you really don't know where to find them, and you don't really know where to seek them out. And so it's always been a dream to have a collective where we could find all of these different modalities under one roof, and that is what I'm working towards. So this is my first step. There's about 5 offices to fill with different modalities, and my hope is that we'll outgrow that and we'll need more space for more modalities. But I'm putting out a call to all the practitioners out there who do alternative types of healing, that if you'd like to be part of this collective, it's going to be amazing to grow together. And the beautiful thing is that whatever it is that you do is not going to be duplicated. So although if people only want to have a day a week, then we might have other practitioners that do what you do. So say it's Reiki, we'd have that Monday through Friday, but once that's filled, we're not going to have a second room for Reiki. You will be the only one unless you are asking for help. So that way, as we refer to one another, anybody that's there is going to be the sole person doing that type of work. We're going to have a beautiful website, and that's how it will drive people. You just call your practitioner and make your appointment. So I'm excited to do that, to build it, and I'm looking on a huge scale down the road.
Isn't that
big
fun?
space.
I love that.
Yes.
That is so cool. And tell us, what do you do? What is your particular modality?
I'm an RN since the 80s, so I just dated myself. and I do multi-channel biofeedback, but it's considered quantum biofeedback. So this is not the traditional for pain or for anxiety where you look at your heart rate and your blood pressure and your brain waves and things like that. This is actually doing frequency sweeps of the body and looking for what it finds and what it doesn't find in the body, which can be hundreds of thousands of things that we set the machine for. So it gives us a pretty good holographic look in the body at what is going on, what's there that shouldn't be there, maybe what isn't there that should be there. So what are you lacking? What do you have too much of? And then we use single channel balancing in frequencies to treat and we put those in homeopathics, or I use nutraceuticals, which would be herbs or natural things, essential oils, things like that. And then the other work that I do is a mouthful, Quantum Neurological Reset Therapy, or QNRT. There's probably about 50 of us in the States right now who are licensed to do this work. It's pretty cutting-edge emotional therapy using the central nervous system to access the unconscious brain.
Wow.
And get rid of old patterns and old traumas that we hold there. So that is amazing, amazing, life-changing work.
Wow, that's intense. So what made you go into that field?
I actually was a very Western RN, worked in neonatal intensive care for about 15 years, and then was off raising my children and designing jewelry and handbags, actually, and having a fun time doing that. And my son got sick with something called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS for short. It's a high-low heart rate arrhythmia, and he was about 11 years old, and he started to pass out multiple times a day. So he would have this arrhythmia up to 9 times in a day. So there were times when he really could almost not be upright. So we were taking him to the physician at University of Toledo that works with only this particular heart arrhythmia. And he was just resistant to a lot of the medications. And he was on very serious heart and blood pressure meds.
Oh, at 11 years old.
And I was really worried about him. And so I was just looking for anything alternative that would help him. So somebody that I knew said they had seen a doctor in Detroit, Dr. Page, who is who I took him to in Heartland, and he has the same machine I have today. And he scanned, my son, and he said, "This is what's wrong with him." And I said, "That you're absolutely right." And I had not given him any information on Ryan whatsoever. And then he gave me a little bottle of homeopathic, spring-based, water-based homeopathic with frequencies, and said, "Here, have him take X amount of drops per day." And I giggled.
Right.
And I called my husband in the car on the way home and said, "That was the most amazing diagnostic tool I've ever seen. I don't know why they don't use it in medicine." But that he gave me this stuff, and I laughed. Well, my son, who has been passing out, he did not miss a day at that point to pass out at least once. Went for 2 full weeks without passing out from the day that he gave me those little drops. So, of course, I was fascinated. So then I went back and said, "Okay, now I want you to do mine." And then I started talking to him right there while I was there, saying, "Can a nurse do this? I'm interested." And he said, "Yes, I would love to have somebody up your way." And I just decided I wanted to do it. But the problem was, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about intention and manifesting tonight. But I actually was in the position where we had just lost a company. My husband was a true .comer, and when all the stocks fell, we lost our company. And we were destitute at the moment again, so from rags to riches to rags. And I decided I wanted to go into this healing. I have to do it. And the machine is about $30,000. And I call and I ask Lee Woolley, who was my mentor and the inventor of this machine, and said, "Do you have any programs? Do you have anything that you can help me finance this?" And he said, "We really don't." And I said, "Oh, because I really want to do this." And he said to me, "Well, in my opinion, if you are called to the work, you'll usually be doing it in pretty short time frame, probably shorter than you think." And I jokingly said, "Then I'm answering the call. I want to do this work." And less than 72 hours later, I went to get my hair cut. And my hairdresser is saying, and thanks, Michelle, at Statements Hair. And she was asking me what I was doing. And I was saying, "Well, I just really want to do this amazing work. But I can't afford this machine." And she says, well, we could get the machine and you could pay us and you could rent upstairs from us. We have office space. And I was doing the work within the month.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
That's a really, really good story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how a lot of things go when you just know that you're meant to do it and it's supposed to be, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Clarity.
Yep.
And intention. And one of the things that I've learned from studying the power of intention is when it's to serve other people, there's much more guidance and much more opportunity presents itself when it's to serve and it's pure, when the intention is pure. Right?
Yeah, I think anything, whether it's in service or not, as long as the intention is pure, is the answer.
But it's even more powerful when it's to serve others.
I think everything should be in service somehow, or have some intention towards that end.
Right.
We have to be aware.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's all about. That's what how humanity once thought, I think, that they were all in this together, that they might as well work together. And I see more people becoming conscious of their thoughts and other people's feelings. And don't you agree with that? Do you think that we're moving in that direction?
Yeah, I think that we're changing. We're growing up our children the wrong way. If you really think about it, we are taught separateness.
Right.
But the minute we're born, what's the first thing that happens? In the delivery room, they're measuring the head circumference. They're measuring how long you are, and they're plotting you on a graph to see how you measure up to every other baby out there.
Right.
God forbid you're below the 0, you're above the 100, and then
they scare you.
And there's good reason for that. You can rule out some things, but from the minute we're born, we're taught to be the best, to try to be number one. The thing is there's only ever one number one, and there's masses of people under number one. And so where does that leave the masses? But we're taught to operate in a way where we're the best, the smartest, the only, rather than to be inclusive and part of a bigger group, a bigger picture. And so I think these kids now are starting to figure out, at least my kids are, that there's a lot more to inclusiveness than there is to separateness. Mm-hmm. And they're not so impressed with the biggest, the best, the guy with the most toys, those kinds of things. Because they're more conscious of a global connection to everybody.
Right. I have my niece's husband and my niece too are really good examples of, and as are my youngest son now has a child, and he's pretty amazing to watch. The way that he's fathering is so different than his father fathered, and that little girl's going to be pretty interesting.
We know now with QNRT that, I think that it fell out of favor. It used to be, it went back to early childhood and parents, and then we kind of went through this period where it was like, don't blame the parents, and so we kind of wanted to leave and go away from that. But we know now that from conception, when you have a nervous system that's mature, which would be sometime in the 3rd trimester, to somewhere between 5 and 8 years old, when a child has physically their own energy field, that those years are the years where they form 80% of their concept of who they are, how to be in the world, what's the easiest, safest way. And those are the years that really, really matter. And then after that, it's just patterning around those kind of basic beliefs. So in QNRT, we're always going back to the earliest age that something happened and then relating it to present today. And you can see how your experiences when you were 3 or 5 or 7 completely shaped the choices of things like who did you marry and what kind of job do you do.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
It's very interesting, and if you're 3 years old and you have a parent who's overbearing and shaming, you're going to be a little bit more withdrawn. Maybe you are going to be a little more introverted. Maybe you're not going to